anything, Your Honor. Um,
Well, and nobody's implying that you had run from anything, and certainly, I think everyone appreciates both of your efforts to serve our country. And
Enjoy the video, hit the like button.
right, we're here on a motion seeking modification of child support, basically amending or proposing to amend from the current order of $1,044 per month to $916 per month. Ms. Hawks, could you please describe the nature of your proposal and any changes to your prayer at this point?
Yes, Your Honor. So the state did file a motion to modify child support. This previously, at the beginning of the year, well, the child support obligation had been $232. And then a modification was sought early spring towards the summer. And that's when it was modified to, I believe, the 1,044. Another modification has been sought, and I prepared a child support worksheet that shows a guideline amount of $916. First, though, before we get too far into this, I would like to ask if father is receiving any VA disability or retirement benefits. I had spoke with mother and she had asked me that question. I looked at father's domestic relations affidavit. It did not have that listed on there. I just found out yesterday that we do have the ability to find out if an individual is receiving VA disability or retirement. We just don't have the ability to find out what that number is. So first I would ask father if he is receiving any benefits through the VA.
I think you might be muted, sir.
okay, can everybody hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is all new to me, Your Honor. Before we get into the VA disability, I'd like to expand on what I believe Miss Hawkins said. The case was originally closed for child support back in 2014, shortly after the divorce, and reopened in October with a $30,000 back pay and at $1,000 a month. So there was no, hey, this is going to be modified or nothing like that ever given to me while I was living in California. As far as the VA disability benefits, after serving 13 years in the Army, I'm rated at 30% and it's around $600 a month. Also on the child support worksheet Ms. Hawkins prepared, it doesn't list I have any other dependents, which I do. The pay amount that she has on here is $92,712, is drastically wrong by at least $12,000.
Your Honor, if I may respond to
Yes.
that. So I did not include a multifamily adjustment because Miss Rosine had sought a modification back in May. Mr. Gibson chose not to participate in those proceedings. He did not respond to any of the correspondence from DCF to fill out any domestic relations affidavits or provide us with any information. So we went off an employer verification letter at that time. We did not know that there were any other younger children living in the home, so multifamily adjustment was not included. Now, Mr. Gibson is seeking a decrease in child support, and the guidelines allow for a multifamily adjustment at time of original order or when an increase is being sought. So Mr. Gibson's time to use that multifamily adjustment was in May, when an increase was being sought. Now he's asking to decrease his child support, and I don't believe the guidelines do allow for judicial discretion at all times, but I believe that the guidelines are specific that it's for the non-custodial parent when an increase is being sought, and he's seeking a decrease. And so that's why I did not include the multifamily adjustment. As for income, if you give me just a moment, I can speak to where I got that number.
And during this time in May, I was never received any paperwork, even speaking with DCF on the phone, never given any paperwork through the whole time. The only paperwork I ever received was in October, was when I got told, hey, you owe $1,000 a month plus $30,000 back pay, all the way dated back to the original divorce decree. I know it's hearsay, but speaking with DCSF on the phone, I was advised that the petitioner can open and close the child support case as many times as she would like. So there's never any paperwork received at my address that's been on file with DCSF since I moved to California. That was on file with her attorney at the time since I moved to California. No paperwork was ever received in the mail.
Okay.
Your Honor, Mr. Gibson provided a domestic relations affidavit with 3 pay stubs. I averaged the gross pay on those 3 pay stubs, which came out to an amount of $7,726 a month.
Mr. Gibson, are you suggesting that that number is incorrect?
Absolutely, sir. If I may, I'm not sure if I could show evidence on here. On the pay stubs provided, it has my pay plan grade step, which is a GL9 step 9. I'm a lieutenant for Federal Bureau of Prisons. As you sure know, is in a shutdown right now. I don't know if you could see this, but for my grade step, it says 86,365. Let me see, try to get this camera right. So if you see the highlighted section, right, 9, and then you follow all the way over. Oh, I hate these things. Can you get a clear view?
It's difficult for me to see. Maybe you could just read to me what you think is relevant there.
So it just shows my step and my pay grade, right, which is GL9 step 9. The annual income is 86,365 for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that you can find that on the salary table 2025 for law enforcement officers for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's going to be different than regular street police or those, but that's what it has me making yearly. So that's 92,000. That was my income in California, supposedly at some point in time. But I took a $33,000 pay cut coming out here to Texas for a promotion. And Your Honor, if I may add, since October, I've sent DCSF 6 times modification paperwork. All 5 times they told me I never received anything and never received anything until this last time I was provided an email. So I emailed it to them, and I also sent it in via paper, and now I have a court date.
As far as and I'm not finished maybe hearing from any of the parties, but I do want to give Ms. Rosine an opportunity to weigh in. Based on what you're hearing to this point, ma'am, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Your Honor, not particularly. That really pertains to the case and child support. In reference to him stating that the child support order previous was closed. I actually spoke with DCF on the matter. That was not anything that had to do with me. During the time that I joined the military and I went to basic training in AIT, and my mother was caring for the minor child. And since she was caring for the minor child, I was sending money home, and she also applied for assistance through the state. So when they closed the assistance through the state for my mother, that's when the case was closed, and that's what that reference is. But as anything else, I don't really have anything because this is about child support, you know.
All right, Ms. Hawks, having heard from both Ms. Rosine and Mr. Gibson, is there anything more that you wish to add at this time?
Well, Your Honor, it sounds like Mr. Gibson is receiving some VA benefits. I think I heard the number was 600. I believe our child support worksheet is 916. I suppose I would defer to Miss Rosine. I think there's two ways we could do this. We could either continue this to give Mr. Gibson an opportunity to provide DCF with statements of his VA disability or retirement monthly statement, so we can include that income in the child support worksheet. If it is $600, it would probably increase that 916 slightly, but I don't know by how much. If Miss Rosine's fine going forward with the 916, I would be okay with that as well today.
Ms. Rosine?
I would like it to be factored in, please, so we can extend it if we need to.
And with the extension, it I think would only be fair that Mr. Gibson be given an opportunity to present current income data as well. I mean, he's explaining that from his perspective, at least, the income that has been ascribed to him might be higher than his actual earnings. And I just want everybody to know that I'm very happy to extend this to try to get more data points and try to have as much precision as is possible in the calculation, but I just don't know where that will end up. I don't know if it would push numbers up or down. And of course, Mr. Gibson's also asking the court to consider whether or not there should be any adjustment for a multifamily discount. And I haven't ruled on that question either. But I think that given that there are so many moving parts, I think it's important that we try to get this right. And I think that I would like to set this over to give Mr. Gibson an opportunity to augment the income information that DCF has with any additional information that he has, so that a new worksheet could be computed. Certainly, Ms. Rosine, if there's any changes or additional information concerning your income, that would be important to also forward on to DCF. And then in the meantime, I'll consider the question, and I understand where the bias would kind of naturally flow, but I do understand the court has some discretionary powers as well, but I'll consider whether or not I think there should be any multifamily discount and or factored in. And then from there, what I would like to be the case when we reconvene, Ms. Hawks, if you can have your best worksheet available, but also open in case the court should decide to factor in the multifamily. We could do that hopefully in real time on the record. What kind of time frame do you think you would reasonably need, Ms. Hawks, to get information and factor those things into your new calculation?
Well, Your Honor, I always like to have at least 2 weeks before the hearing to be able to mail that out to the parties, and so at least a week before that to review that and give me time to prepare. I will say, and I'll go ahead and get these prepared for filing, the pay stubs that Mr. Gibson provided me that are from June and July, and they do have his base salary, so I am aware of that, but he does have some overtime so I factored in the gross. So if he's only going to provide me that pay scale, I don't foresee myself changing the income on the child support worksheet. I'm going to base it off of the gross income he's actually making. So if he can provide me pay stubs that are more recent than July 26th, that would show a decrease in income, I'll definitely consider that. But right now, what I have, I believe, is very accurate. So I guess depending on when the court wants to set this for hearing, I would say Mr. Gibson needs to provide the VA benefits and any income information to me at least 3 weeks in advance so that I have time to get that information out to the parties.
Can I ask a couple questions by any chance, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in factoring in the income withholding worksheet, the overtime on the pay stubs is not guaranteed. I'm a lieutenant at a federal prison with 1,400 plus inmates. the overtime's not guaranteed. Lieutenants are going to get stuck after their 8-hour shift. So same with the captain, the AW, and the wardens. Miss Rosine knows she was employed by the State Department of Corrections in Kansas. As to her timeline, she's speaking about basic and AIT. So that was well before we were ever married. The case was closed after 2014, after the divorce was finalized. I have children on this worksheet that follow in each bracket. If you have any questions, please ask, Your Honor. I'm an open book, ma'am. Ms. Hawkins, you too. But the overtime it's not a guaranteed thing. It's not every day. It's not something I want to do. As far as the insurance, the health insurance, I could provide health insurance coverage, dental, vision. I've never ran from anything, Your Honor.
Well, and nobody's implying that you had run from anything, and certainly I think everyone appreciates both of your efforts to serve our country and continuing to serve the communities you're in by the work you're doing now. So I don't want you to in any way feel demeaned, because that's not the purpose here.
I just feel like I'm getting railroaded, sir, to be honest with you. As of right now, I can't provide any pay stubs. The federal government's in a shutdown. I'm personally not getting paid. So there's nothing I can provide you more than what I already have. You take out the overtime, you include the VA benefits, something that I've earned that shouldn't even be included in this. But health insurance, dental, vision, I can provide all that. I required a copy of the birth certificate and social security number. And this is just an unfortunate situation that should never happen, but that's another court hearing for a different time.
Well, I think that there are a lot of moving parts, and in all candor, I didn't read the file back to inception. So you're speaking about some historical data points that I'm not immediately familiar with. By the time we reconvene, I will have reviewed the file in its entirety. And I think that it might make sense for us to go ahead and set this over into early January. I mean, I know that none of us could speculate with any kind of certainty about when the government shutdown will come to an end. I believe there's some optimism that might be sooner than later, but again, no way of knowing for sure. But I'd like to, if there is a time frame that kind of makes sense from everybody else's perspective, that would potentially allow for newer pay stubs to be submitted, if that's what you want to do, Mr. Gibson, that you'd have a chance to do that. I had, but I do not have in front of me January calendar. I apologize. Miss Jackie, what January dates do we have at this point?
We have January 16th, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Hawks, do you think, just given the nature of number of moving parts at this point, that might be a good date to set this to make certain that everybody has a chance to be heard in terms of documents that they submit to you, and also giving you some time to consider the data and perhaps run a new worksheet?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead. Mr. Gibson and
Yes.
Miss Rosine, does that January 16th date at 10 o'clock in the morning work on your calendars?
Yeah, would that be better for in person out there in Kansas, or another Zoom meeting?
Well, it will be by Zoom again. It'll
By
be
Zoom.
using the same meeting ID and passcode
Okay.
that you're using today. Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor, that's
And I
fine with me. I just need a date.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
also,
go ahead, sir.
also, if I may, at the meantime, I assume it's going to be stuck at 916 or 1044.
It's at 1044 right now, pending any change.
How am I supposed to pay my rent? I've been lucky enough. I have a landlord that understands the court proceeding and understands what I'm trying to do, but I haven't been able to pay rent. My rent's at $1,000 a month. I'm not getting paid, so I'm kind of running out of gas money to afford to work. There's just some circumstances piling up on my end, and it's just unfortunate, Your Honor. I don't.
Well, it is indeed unfortunate, and I know that it sounds like your circumstances are much like those that many of us contend with, where even a brief interruption in the pay that we're earning from our work can have some pretty profound impacts through our household and with our families. But at this point, I think my zeal is to try to hear everything that you're saying, everything that Ms. Rosine is saying. And as far as a mechanism for any kind of modification, the proposed modification that I'm seeing at this point is, and I know when you're not getting any money, a dollar might as well be the moon, but it's a relatively small, what is it, $128 or something like that, proposed modification. I know Ms. Rosine is, from her perspective, reasonably moving the court to consider a potentially higher number if that's what the worksheet should yield. I know from your perspective, Mr. Gibson, you're wanting the court to consider a potentially, and from your point, reasonably meaningfully lower number if the court were to consider multifamily adjustment, if the court were to be privy to some new numbers that might show. I think you said maybe an income of something like 12,000 less than was used on the original worksheet. Those are all considerations the court will have to keep in mind. But I think that at this snapshot in time, I would be in a position to think that the best way to go forward is to leave these other decisions until we have the data points and try to make a good decision once for all, rather than trying to meander around the milieu of different numbers in the meantime. And I do concede and I do understand, and I am very sorry that that works a hardship on you, but I think it's the most reasonable way forward from the court's perspective.
So then just to be clear, so it's on the record, when I send in another worksheet for the 7th time to include the birth certificates of the children living in the house and all that relevant information, again, that's what I need to do, correct? Is that what Ms. Hawkins is asking for?
Basically, I'm wanting you to feel latitude to advise the court in whatever you think are important considerations in this. So yeah, if you want to update the income numbers, such as those pay stubs are available to you. And I realize the government's shut down, but I don't understand how that would necessarily make you in a position where you wouldn't be privy to your own prior pay amounts. I mean, it seems like those would be available for you.
The prior ones I can get, Your Honor. I'm just saying any new ones like from last weekend when
right.
I won't have any updated stuff. And unfortunately, sir, as a lieutenant, right, the overtime is gonna happen. If there's an incident in the institution, I'm stuck after my shift completing paperwork, medical assessments, getting inmates to and from the hospital. There's ins and outs. So that overtime sometimes is unavoidable. And it's not
and like you said, and like you explained, it's also unpredictable. So I understand where you're coming from there. But my prayer for you, Mr. Gibson, is that the shutdown ends quickly. I think there's, from what I'm understanding, just reading the news, having no expertise in the matter, there might be back pay provided at that point. And I know that would be a blessing for you. I hope that proves to be the case. But I want to, as much as is possible, make a good decision when we reconvene. I am going to set this over to January 16, 2026. At 10 a.m. And I didn't confirm, Miss Rosine, does that date and time work for you, ma'am?
Yes, sir. It does work for me.
Okay. And I'll give each of you an opportunity to update Ms. Hawks to the extent you would wish to. And I will be, in the meantime, reviewing the file, and I will be considering the question of application of a multifamily adjustment. And if Ms. Hawks thinks it's appropriate based on the information she receives, she could run a new worksheet if she thinks the one she has accurately reflects the circumstances. We might have only that same worksheet available when we reconvene, but in either case, I'll ask Ms. Hawks that you have it up to the extent the court may wish to consider the multifamily adjustment.
Your Honor,
Yes,
before
ma'am.
we go, I would ask that Mr. Gibson be ordered to provide his VA benefits monthly statements to DCF by December 15th. And then if he wants DCF to consider any other income information, that also be provided by December 15th.
I think,
Oh,
go ahead, sorry.
Additionally, I don't need birth certificates for his other children. I don't question that those are his biological children living in his home. I just don't know that I agree that he should receive credit for them on the multifamily adjustment based on the Kansas Child Support guidelines. But I'm not questioning the validity of whether or not they are his biological children in his home. I think it's just going to be whether he deserves credit for them on the worksheet or not, but I don't need their birth certificates.
Okay. Well, and I do think that December 15th deadline for either Ms. Rosine or Mr. Gibson to submit the data they would like to have considered and including the VA benefits makes sense, and that gives you a chance to work on that worksheet such as you deem it appropriate. And if a new worksheet is indeed submitted in the case, that can be mailed to the parties ahead of time so that hopefully we could move through to a conclusion on January 16th. All right. Well, look forward to seeing each and all January 16 at 10. And thank you, Ms. Rosine. Thank you, Mr. Gibson, for coming in.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.